All right, this is the second video in cell division, and I want to talk to you here about chromosomes. Let's give you some basics. Chromosomes, you've probably heard a lot about. You know, you're pretty comfortable what they are. Let's go into the depth of though what I want you to know. Okay, so chromosomes, we know that they carry genetic information, and so those are the instructions that help build you and me and in any living organism on the planet. Human beings, we all have 46 chromosomes. And so in biology, you're going to hear me say 46 chromosomes. You just assume that it's human that I'm talking about. There are other things that have 46 chromosomes, like this sable antelope. This guy here, he has 46 chromosomes, but you notice he's not humans. Even though he has the same number, he might have some genes turned off and turned on in different places than we do, and that makes them look a little different. Okay, so we have 46 chromosomes. Cool fact, you get 23 chromosomes from your mom, you get 23 chromosomes from your dad, and when they come together, they intertwine to make you, they combine to make you. So you're a totally new human being, never been born. Never anyone been born like you, identical. Even identical twins not necessarily are identical. Okay, the only way you could ever get maybe something identical is to have a clone, but that changes. The older your clone would get, we'll get into that a little later. Okay, and you notice, you probably know more that chromosomes look more like an X than they do a Y, and so in biology we express their shape as an X or a Y. And they're made up of coiled up DNA. Now I'm going to show you a picture here. I'm going to blow it up here. And so right here we have our DNA. So right here's the cookbook that makes us, all the proteins that make us, you can find it right here. And then you'll notice that they seem to start wrapping up and they start coiling up. If you've ever taken a string and you coil a string, or I like doing this, those airplanes that you can throw, have a rubber band, the propeller that's attached to our band. If you keep spinning it, the rubber band will keep doubling over on itself. Kind of what you see happening here. During cell division, DNA has to coil up. Think of a pot of spaghetti. So like when a cell is not in division, it's just doing this normal thing, its normal function. Inside the nucleus, the DNA is just kind of milling around. There's no organization to it, but when it has to divide, that DNA has to coil up. And so what you see here is these coils, and then here's that X shape that we normally would talk about. And so remember that DNA has to coil up and has to get organized, has to get neat and tidy before it can be separated and duplicated and separated into each new cell. So that's what it's talking about there when it's made up of coiled DNA. Okay, and then here's another cool picture of what DNA actually looks like if you would take a picture with a really fancy microscope. So here's another X. This is what the X actually looks like, and this is what we call Y. These two in particular are the sex chromosomes. These are the allosomes. And so this particular individual would be a male, because to be male, you have to have two sex chromosomes, one being an X, one being a Y. The Y being much smaller. Now you can see the DNA, how you can see the coils even coming off of that. That's pretty cool. And then here's another X chromosome. Okay. Now, probably going to show you some of the parts of the chromosome that are pretty important. So this molecule heredity, this really wild stuff. Well, you want to think that this is one chromosome, or this is one chromosome, or this is one chromosome, or that one. That's not the case. It's not the case. What you're seeing here is actually two chromosomes. They're two identical chromosomes. So whenever you say an X chromosome, you got two chromosomes in there. Same thing for this one. Here's one, and then here's another identical one. And down here you see where it says chromatids. But these are technically what you need to know. These are called sisters. Okay, so here a sister chromatid. So these are identical copies of DNA. So here's one sister, and then here's its identical copy. Okay, so this one will go to one cell, and this one will go to the other cell, because in cell division, really, you start with one cell, you end up with two. And so this makes sure that each cell gets identical copy. That way it's all the cells are identical daughter cells of the original parent. Now they're bound together by something called a centromere. So in the middle there's the structure that kind of holds them together. And in drawings you can kind of see it. This one would be right here. Think of it as a belt squeezing two chromosomes together. There's attachment points here that things called spindle fibers will come in and actually start to pull it apart. And then once it pulls apart, then these will migrate to each end of the new cell. So just know that a centromere is the structure that holds the chromosomes together. You can't see it in there, but it's in there somewhere. And I really can't tell. I'm guessing it's probably somewhere in there for that one. And probably right in there for the Y chromosome. A cool fact, girls, if you were a girl, you can blame your dad, because your dad is really the person that determines the sex of a child, because a mother, she can only donate one X or another X for the sex chromosomes, and a man can donate an X or a Y. And so my dad donated a Y chromosome, and for my sons, I donated a Y chromosome, but I also donated a Y chromosome for my daughter. And then that's the only thing, females can only donate the X chromosome. So it's the father that actually determines the sex of the baby. Okay, now I'm going to add something here. Now we know that there's 46 chromosomes in humans. Again, from here on out, we're always talking about humans. 44 of the 46 are called autosomes. Okay, and then 2 are sex chromosomes that we just discussed. I'm having troubles. Okay, the sex chromosomes are called allosomes. So we have autosomes and allosomes. So we have 2 sex chromosomes. The autosomes, you just want to just say body chromosomes. And I guess I don't know exactly where that came from, other than they govern the body and the development of the body. So you have 44 body chromosomes, we have 2 sex chromosomes, and again, when you think autosome, that's your body chromosomes, and your sex chromosomes are called allosomes. Okay, this is video number 2.